Hello, today we will be learning how to simplify expressions by combining like terms. We are starting Unit 2, okay, expressions and equations, and today we're just going to focus on simplifying expressions. We should be around page 21 to 22. Okay, so again, Unit 2, expressions and equations. Our objective for today is to simplify expressions with like terms. And then our essential question is, how do you simplify and combine like terms in an expression? Okay, go ahead and pause the video so you can write all this down, and then we'll get started. So before we begin, we're going to focus on some vocabulary. So our first vocab word is expressions. Okay, it's a mathematical phrase that can contain numbers, variables, and operations. There is no equal sign. So I have some examples here. So you can see we have 8x plus 1. So I've got numbers, variables, and operations there. Negative 3y minus 4. And then 2m squared plus m minus 6. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video to make sure you've got all that written down. So some more vocabulary words. So we have terms. Okay, they include constants, variables that are in an expression but are separated by the addition and minus signs. Okay, so terms are what's separated by those. So these are our terms. Okay, then we have constants. Constants are numbers that do not have a variable. So in this same expression, our constants are over here, that negative 13. It doesn't have any variable with it, so that would be our constant. Okay, then we have our coefficients. Coefficients are numbers that are in front of variables of terms. So that would be the number in front of any variable. And then our last vocabulary word is like terms. Okay, like terms have the same base or variable and the same exponent or power. So you can see I've highlighted like terms together. So 9x squared is a like term with negative 4x squared. Notice I am including the signs in front of each variable. And then I have 7x is a like term with x. The reason that these are separated is because when we have an exponent, those have to have the exact same exponent. And then we have negative 2 and 5. Okay, feel free to pause the video to get all of this written down as examples for you. So let's see what happens when we have some examples. So you're going to get directions that say something along the lines of simplify the following expressions, and you have to know what to do with that. The best thing to do is to highlight like terms. So we need to pick them out. So as you can see, I have 8x would be a like term with 2x, and we're keeping those signs that are in front of them with it. And then I also have negative 9 and 4. Using highlighters to pick them out is a great method to do this. And then also you can see I use squares and circles to represent that. So if you don't have highlighters and you only have a pencil, you can use it that way too. Okay, we are going to line up our like terms. So I have 8x and 2x. And then I have, and I just like to write the greater one. And then we're going to add them together. Okay, so we're just essentially add them. And you don't need to put this plus right here with the 2. You can just put a positive 2. That's perfectly fine. So I have 8x plus 2x. Okay, so what this really means is that I have 8x's and then another 2x. Okay, so if I were to add all of those up, it would give me 10x. And then over here, I have 4 plus a negative 9. So that goes back to our rules of integers. So that's going to give me a negative 5. So this simplified to 10x minus 5. We know the problem is completely simplified if I have no more like terms to put together. All right, let's look at another example. I want to pick out all my like terms. So I see negative 7m, negative 2m, and then a positive m. And then I also see negative 4 and 7. So I'm going to line them up. Now, if you need to write out all of the variables, that's totally okay. So I have negative 7m, negative 2m, and then m. And then I also have 7 and negative 4. And again, I just want to add all these together. When I do this, if there's no variable in front of, if there's no coefficient in front of my variable, that means it's a 1. Okay, if there's nothing there, it's a 1. So I've got negative 7 plus negative 2, which gives me negative 9. And then I've got plus a positive 1, which is going to give me a negative 8. Over here, I have 7 plus negative 4, so that's going to give me a positive 3. So now, this one simplifies to negative 8m plus 3. The reason this right here becomes a plus 3 is because it's a positive. You need to recognize that negative and positives are also the same as minus and plus, or a subtraction sign and an addition sign. Those mean the same thing. So when I see a positive 3, that really means plus 3. Okay, let's look at some more examples. So I'm looking at my like terms. I see negative 2x squared and negative 5x squared. The reason I'm not including 5x with that is because that does not have an exponent. Okay, then I see 5x, and then I see this minus 4. So I'm going to line them up. So I've got negative 2x squared, negative 5x squared. I have a 5x, whoop, change that color. I have a 5x, and then I have a minus 4. And I want to add up my rows here. So negative 2 plus negative 5 gives me a negative 7. And then we keep that x squared. Okay, 5x plus 0 would just be 5x. And negative 4 plus 0 would just be negative 4. So this problem would simplify to negative 7x squared plus 5x minus 4. Okay, and we know we're finished because we have no more like terms to put together. All right, so now I'm looking over here. So I see 11a goes with negative 5a. Please make sure you include the sign in front. I have a positive b and a positive 2b. And then I have a plus 8. So I'm going to line them up. So I have 11a, negative 5a, 2b, and if you need to put a 1 in front of that b, please do that, and then 8. And then we want to add these up. So 11 plus -5 would give me 6a. 2 plus 1 gives me 3b. And then I have 8 here. So this one would simplify to 6a plus 3b plus 8. Okay, if you are ready to practice some on your own, go ahead and pause the video and try to solve these two, and then we'll see how well you did with that. Hopefully you tried to practice these ones on your own. Let's go over them together. So when I look at this first one, my like terms, I've got negative 10k squared, negative 3k squared, negative k squared. I see 7k and 5k. And then I also see this 4 here. So I'm going to line them up. Remember, put that 1 there if you need to. And then we add those together. So negative 10 plus negative 3 plus negative 1 gives me a negative 14k squared. 7k plus 5k gives me 12k. And then I have this positive 4. So number 5 simplified to negative 14k squared plus 12k plus 4. All right, and our last one, probably the most challenging one, just because I added some extra things in there. So 2x squared. Then we have 5xy and negative 8xy. Those two go together. And then I have this 7y squared. So when I line these up, I end up with 2x squared, 5xy, negative 8xy, and then 7y squared. And we want to add these up. So I end up with 2x squared. 5 minus 8, or 5 plus a negative 8, gives me negative 3xy, and then the 7y squared. So number 6 simplified to 2x squared minus 3xy plus 7y squared. All right, so as I was saying, highlighting is a great method to solve these. So as you can see in my examples here, I have them all highlighted in a way that I can put them together. That's a great method, so using your highlighters for that. Or if you don't have that, you can definitely use the circles and squares to help you separate them. Okay, at this time you can move on to your assignment for today. Hopefully you've understood this pretty well, but if you have any questions, make sure they are answered before moving on.